This is a battle in the Aggony Flash tournament. We have Cordoba being commanded by Poccopacs this time, and Mercia being commanded by Reptilicus. Been a while since I've seen Reptilicus in a tournament, so always nice to see older players joining the fray. So first of all, before we start this battle, I just want to, since this is going to be uploaded on what's Christmas Eve for me, I just want to thank you all for the year we've had. I want to thank especially all of the people who have been sending me the replays and helping me make videos that are very useful to me, that I get quite a lot of fun out of, and I hope they are fun for you too. This year is sort of a milestone because it's the year that I got more than 10,000 subscribers, and to be completely honest, that is something that I never suspected or expected would happen. So I'd like to thank you for all the support. I feel very lucky, very privileged that a lot of people consistently watch my videos and make comments on them, comments that are often insightful and informative and that make me go back and rethink the game, how to play it, and what mechanics to delve deeper into. So thanks. I hope you have a great Christmas, both you and your loved ones. If you don't celebrate Christmas, just have a great few days anyway. So let's jump into the battle here. Again, a map consisting of a few forested areas, a few hills. We'll go over the Mercian army first. The Mercian army consists of a front line of Thanes and Royal Thanes mixed up. The Royal Thanes hold the center. Then we have Fyrd Spearmen in the rear, some Fyrd Slingers in the center, a few Fyrd Javelins, a Royal Companion General, and some horsemen. I believe we have 4 horsemen. The Berber Raiders here over on the flanks, and Berber Genites. Same thing on the other side. In the forest here we have Andalusian archers, sort of slightly better than the crap tier archers, but not much. Then we have the Berber Levy, deadly against cavalry with their precursors. Then we have a line of Andalusian warriors, quite sturdy sword infantry, good armor, decent melee defense. And then we have the cavalry. These are the heavy hitters, the Umayyad Guard. Horsemen, medium melee, only 6 armor. So definitely not a power faction, the Cordobans, and this is definitely not a power army, but it does have some interesting units. Now the melee line of Mercia is significantly stronger than the melee line of Cordoba, mainly I'd say because the added punching power of the Royal Thanes is considerable. Now the Berber Raiders and the Berber Genites will obviously want to use their low ammunition on these horsemen, perhaps into the backs of some Royal Thanes, if they're able to do that, but they will probably get screened away by the Fyrd Slingers. Fyrd Slingers will be able to do very well against a lightly armored unit like this. 6 armor and 10 armor, yeah, so they will feel the pain from Slingers, also slowing them down, very useful. Now most of the Cordoban army is concealed in the forest here, and that might work to the advantage of the Cordobans, but they could also very easily get hemmed into this forested area here, and they do not want to be hemmed in against Mercia. Mercia having a frightening melee line for the Cordobans to contend with here. Let's see, we have Royal Thanes in the center, and then we have Thanes on the flank, so we have a total of 3 Royal Thanes. I'm counting the Royal Companions as Royal Thanes, essentially the same type of unit. And it's nice that they learned something from Attila. I made a video talking about how it made no sense that a general would choose a bunch of shitty fighters with good equipment and no experience in using that equipment. So now the general's options are quite good in that they don't have ridiculously low melee attack. Now keeping the skirmishers far back here might be to stop frontal cav assault, so that the cavalry won't be able to just pull through the spaghetti lines as easily, so creating multiple lines able to fire on the way in. But the forested position is going to work to the favor of the Andalusians, but it would be quite interesting to see how this engagement plays out if there's a skirmish engagement, because the Mercians are going to be firing downhill with slingers, while the Andalusian archers are going to be firing uphill but with forest support. I mean forest cover. So here, yeah, the horsemen are taking a beating here, from 15 down already from the Berber raiders and the Berber Genites. These are very, very dangerous units to enemy cavalry. And it seems like they are on fire at will now, so they are wasting some ammunition against these fielded spearmen. And it seems like these guys aren't close enough in support, and it can be very dangerous to have these units running around in the back when the main engagement starts. They could find a gap, get at some skirmishers, deliver a very important rear charge. They could go and snipe the general, so having skirmish cav in your backlines is never a good thing. And the only real response for skirmish cav on the side of Mercia will be slingers and archers. But if the slingers get pulled out on the flanks, if the slingers go to screen the flanks, then the skirmishers in the center of the Andalusians are going to have a field day. Now they're starting to fire here, they are firing uphill, so putting the Thanes and Royal Thanes in shield wall would probably be a good idea right now, because the shield wall would allow them to block a significant amount of damage, even though they would be moving forward very, very slowly. I think shield wall should be used right now. So they're not dropping that quickly, but this is, you don't want to be losing Royal Thanes to missiles, and rushing into the forest might be very dangerous if they get hit by cavalry and then followed up on by Andalusian warriors. The Andalusian warriors, of course, are much inferior to the Royal Thanes. But the Royal Thanes are taking a lot of fire now. And I don't know why they are not just going into the forest and popping shield wall, because then they become untouchable. Cannot get engaged by infantry. It's a waste firing on them with archers, but maybe part of the thing is that it's not possible to see what the Cordobans have hidden in the forest here. So now these guys are going to start to benefit from some forest cover. The slingers haven't started firing yet. The Berber raiders starting to run out of ammunition, and these feared spearmen being used to screen off the Berber Genites. Over here, the horsemen chasing after the skirmish cav. They are actually going to be able to catch them here, and that's going to be bad for the Genites, but the supporting Berber raiders are actually picking apart the horsemen. So the Andalusians are skirmishing quite well here, getting important cav units off the field. And that, of course, leaves openings for the Cordoban cavalry. In a straight-up engagement, this would be a very short battle, and Mercia would run over everything that Cordoba has. So yeah, the horsemen off the field. The feared spearmen can, of course, not catch the Berber Genites. Even more Berber raiders and Genites incoming, doing the damage to the horsemen. The horsemen are dropping here. Very important for what this looks like is going to be a long grind out, and losing a lot of cavalry in the early game is, of course, very dangerous for the late game. Horsemen standing on the flanks here might want to go and get a little charge up there, and here we can see how quickly the Andalusian archers are dying to the slingers, really, really quickly. They don't have a lot of morale. It looks like the Berber raiders still running about and getting some kills here. So they are still being useful in pulling away these spearmen. And if the spearmen get engaged by Andalusian warriors, that's perfect. But it seems like the first spearmen are going to go towards the safety of their own army. So now the Andalusians both have a forest and they have the terrain advantage here. Whereas the Mercians, if the Mercians want to engage this patch of forest, they are going to be fighting uphill. And fighting uphill into a potential shield wall is a very, very bad time. Not even the Royal Thanes are going to want to do that. So here we see the units going into shield wall. This is quite the problem for Mercia. What Mercia could do actually is that Mercia could just mirror this green wall with their own Thanes and put their skirmishers behind, and then they could start flanking with the Royal Thanes. That would be very dangerous for Mercia, because once Mercia doesn't have any other melee units, Mercia just has these skirmishers. So flanking around could be potential, and it could be a strategy in this stalemate situation. Just hold the Andalusian warriors there and flank around with the superior melee. Now, the part of the problem is this is very smartly done here, keeping the cavalry hidden like this, because they could go on to intercept flanking melee, and they make using the skirmishers a lot harder. So if you take a look at the tactical map here, this entire army is completely surrounded, and the Mercians have lost cavalry very early on in the battle. So now the archers are moving up. They do have quite a bit of ammunition left. Haven't gotten that many kills yet, but they have caused significant hit point damage to the Royal Thanes. It looks like they're going to start to move up now, the melee line of the Andalusians. And in this type of situation, I don't think it would be too bad of an idea to just put your slingers in loose formation and move them forward. Try to push back the archers. But now the archers have a very nice position. They have some cover. They're going to be fighting downhill on the slingers. So in terms of terrain now, the Cordobans have an advantage. And the advantage could be turned around ever so slightly. But no matter where Mercia decides to engage here, they're going to be at a terrain disadvantage. So the only option would be to push up on either flank. But then of course Cordoba can just move up here. So Cordoba is commanding the superior terrain, and it does indeed look like Cordoba is going to move up here, since nothing is happening. Let's just fast forward until the armies move into position. And now it's a race for the hill. The Berber raiders don't have ammunition remaining. And let's see, now the slingers are moving up. The archers are moving back. Berber levy moving up on the flanks. Looks like they're going to try to stop the slingers from firing. The Berber levy needs to be careful because they cannot take a lot of ammunition. Precursors into the slingers. Didn't kill that much. And now the slingers are going to start firing on the Andalusian archers. Nice kills on the Thanes though by the heavy shot. And the Berber levy is just going to keep harassing these slingers, and these Thanes not in shield wall. Berber levy should be able to run away from them relatively quickly, and if they keep doing this, just pulling them back in, yeah, opening up for shots on the horsemen and opening up for heavy shot here on these Thanes. Not using shield wall in this type of scenario is very, very dangerous. If they engage this shield wall here, it's going to be horrible for them. And now they're actually in shield wall themselves, so this is interesting. Engaging in shield wall. But they have taken prior damage, so that is a problem for them. The Andalusian warriors are also more heavily armored and they have higher melee defense. They haven't taken as much prior damage. 95% missile block, and the engagements are starting all across the battlefield here. The Royal Thanes should be able to do a decent job though in shield wall against the Andalusian warriors. But the archers are doing so much damage to the horsemen. And looks like the Berber raiders are trying to get into the skirmishers, which is a very good idea. The archers dying so quickly to the slingers that are able to fire on them. And the Royal Thanes even combat here with the Andalusian warriors. Losing decisively here though. Combat even. The Thanes are losing decisively here. They're sort of fighting two different armies. And here come the Berber raiders smashing into the feared javelin men, doing a lot of damage to them. But they are going to have problems when they pull out here. They're going to lose a lot of men, I think. Yeah, they're losing a lot of men. Over on the flanks, the horsemen come in against the feared spearmen. The feared spearmen are moving, but the charge was very nicely stopped by this unit. It looks like the horsemen might be able to move away though. In the center, the Andalusian warriors broken by the Royal Thanes as expected. The Royal Companions not in shield wall, but they're only taking flaming shots. On the flanks here we have the feared spearmen fighting up against the Berber levy. Since these guys are chasing after this unit while engaged, they're losing a lot of men being attacked in the rear. They're also taking fire. Now the Royal Companions are coming, but this is what the cavalry advantage of the Cordobans allow them to do. Getting into the feared slingers is very important. If the Cordobans can save some archers for the late game, that's going to be absolutely massive for them. Because they will not win this infantry fight. The Royal Companions and the Royal Thanes are just too strong. But over here though, the whistling shot being used together with a rear shot to break the Thanes. Nicely done. Feared javelin men firing into the blob. Because there's this Umayyad Guard cavalry here. Killing the Umayyad Guard cavalry is so important. Now the horsemen chasing into the archers, but it looks like they are going to get focused down. And the Umayyad Guard is still holding strong. But he can't disengage here, that's the problem. Once he disengages, this unit is going to die really quickly. So he's losing decisively. He hasn't gotten a lot of killing done. There are just so many melee units left for Mercia. But Mercia, from what I can see, Mercia has no cavalry left on the field. And that's interesting. The slingers here are chasing after the archers, which is a very good idea. Horsemen getting into some skirmishers here. The Berber levy doing a good job against the skirmishers. Looked like the Umayyad Guard was wavering there for a second. But some charges have actually turned it around, and now Royal Thanes are starting to break, being affected by Warcry here. Warcry and flaming ammunition. So they're losing, and they actually broke. The Royal Thanes broke due to the combination of effects stacked. So amazingly, this Umayyad Guard has been able to weather the storm. I never saw him being able to tough out that fight, but due to clever morale effects, the Cordobans were able to break a lot of good units here. So very nicely done there, and now Mercia is in big trouble. Mercia has no cavalry left. There are a few very depleted cavalry units left for their Cordobans, being very easy for them to kill the remaining skirmishers of of Mercia. And 3 archer units that I can see. Yeah, it looks like they have 3 archer units left due to the Cordobans. And heavy shot on the Royal Thanes is going to hurt them. But they're using flaming. And that's must be Miss Micro there. Because flaming is just going to tickle these guys. Now they're using heavy. So still the Royal Companions are not in shield wall, so they only have a 40% missile block chance, but firing uphill like this is not an effective way of killing infantry. So ideally the archers would circle around here, because there's really nothing stopping them. They can maneuver whichever way they want. Trying to break the feared spearmen here with a few flaming volleys. I don't know that's really necessary though. The focus should be on taking down the Royal Companion General. But it looks like the feared spearmen are breaking. They haven't shattered. The horsemen are shaken due to casualties sustained. And it should be no problem to grind out this fight for the Andalusian warriors and the Berber levy. Yeah, the feared spearmen are exhausted. They're wavering, starting to break. So, feared spearmen off the field. Looks like the Berber Genites are going to engage the feared spearmen interestingly, and they're going to get hit by some friendly fire there. So feared spearmen have broken. Getting a quick charge in here might be a good idea, because this unit looks like this unit is going to start to waver and might even just break from nothing now. We'll see if it comes back. It's affected by whistling shot for 30 seconds, so should be fine once the whistling shot is off. So friendly fire, a bit of a problem here. Now very few volleys remaining on the Andalusian archers. Only 1 melee unit, and these going into shield wall, the Royal Companions going into shield wall. Well, not really. Well, not really going into shield wall. They're just in a defensive formation in the forest. So not a proper shield wall being employed by them here. They might use shield wall at some point though. Let's see. No, they're not. Still not in shield wall. So not using shield wall in the beginning, when they took fire, might have cost more lives than necessary. Not using shield wall now might also be a... There they go, into shield wall. Yeah, they're in shield wall. At least these 2 units are in shield wall. And these Royal Thanes are not in shield wall yet. We've seen this before, the game ending with the shield wall triangle. So the infantry can't do anything here. The Cordoban infantry, that is. But the archers, it doesn't look like the archers have enough ammunition either. I don't know what the attacker rules are in this tournament. Whether both players are attackers or one player is attacker, one is defender, I just don't know. The Andalusian archers are moving up here. Here we have a shield wall. Shield wall versus shield wall. And rear charges from cavalry could be really interesting in this shield wall engagement. So flaming shots being poured into the Thanes now. And here come the charges. Rear charges into the Royal Thanes. Actually causing some damage.
Battle is turning in our favor.
But so many units wavering here for the Cordobans. And it looks like we're going to see a Cordoban chain rout. Yep, indeed. Cordoban chain rout incoming due to balance of power. Exceptionally close. Exceptionally close. So the Royal Companions braved it out in the end. Let's see here, the kills. Yeah, the Cordoban army was used, I mean, the way terrain was used and the way the skirmish was used, the Cordoban army was used exceptionally well, and I think the kills sort of speak for themselves. All of the skirmish cav does well, most of the cheap melee cavalry does really well. You have spear units with 341, 178. The Andalusian warriors did a decent job, but the pure numbers of Mercian melee units made it very hard for the Cordobans. So the Royal Thanes looks like they are the highest performing units for the Kingdom of Mercia, and for the swords of the Kingdom of Mercia saved them because they had those elite melee units to spare, and the Cordobans just couldn't kill enough melee infantry in the end, it turned out. Some great morale effects were used by the Umayyad Guard together with the skirmishers to break some very important Royal Thanes. But there were just too many. You can see it in the amounts of troops deployed here. 1,680 men versus 2,160. So the Kingdom of Mercia's numbers overwhelmed the Emirate of Cordoba. And I can't say that the Emirate of Cordoba, like I said in the faction review of the Emirate of Cordoba, they are not exceptionally good at one thing. They're sort of a balanced faction, and they have to use those horse skirmishers together with their foot skirmishers, because they can't compete with Mercia in terms of melee troops, and they can't compete with the Avars in terms of foot skirmish and horse skirmish. They just have a little bit of everything. So a really nice battle, and to be honest, the way it developed, I expected Cordoba to win that, but a few mistakes were made on both sides. In the end, Mercia takes it. Strength and honor.